Welcome to another edition of the Sales and Marketing Power Hour with your host, Carol Morgan with Denim Marketing and Kimberly Mackey with New Home Solutions Consulting.
Welcome to the Madhouse.
Oh my gosh, welcome everybody. I hope you are highly caffeinated because you are so going to need it today.
I know, I think I need more.
Well, you know what, Carol, we've got this giant panel. We have so much to get through. So we are trying to wrap up the year in a big red bow again. And we have partnered with Lasso again to do this. Last year went so well. We're making this an annual thing now.
Heck
so
yeah.
It is definitely going to be a thing.
It's just the hardest part about it is figuring out who to ask, because Lasso has so many amazing experts.
I know.
So it's hard to decide, and you can only, an hour is only so much time. We'd like to invite everybody, but
So, and we will send out the link to Lasso's annual roundup that they do. So all of that will come to you, all of our panelists, you'll have all of their contact information. So we will definitely get all of that out there. But first, Carol and I would like to invite you to come hang out with the cool kids. So please join us at the Sales Marketing Power Hour Facebook group. So and you can search for us just like this. So everybody, we should have like a massive stampede right now. Everybody take your phone out and just go in there and join that group. So you can actually comment live as we go today. We would love to have you in there, and don't wait on us to post something. You post.
Please post.
Yes, this is a group. It's supposed to be discussion based and
questions,
whatever's going
comments.
On in your world, questions. Yeah. Send it our way.
Cool.
Ms. Morgan, you want to give your
well,
quick intro?
Yeah, I'll give a quick intro. Carol Morgan, founder and president of Denim Marketing, a 22-year-old company based here in Metro Atlanta area. We specialize in PR, social, and digital marketing. And our goal is to prevent random acts of marketing and to market with intent. So if you need help with any content, we are a content shop.
Random acts of, oh, please. Yes. I think I've had that conversation about 3 times this week.
Send them my way. Lots of randomness going on in marketing these days.
So, and I am Kimberly Mackey, and my company is New Home Solutions Consulting. Apparently there is a lot of confusion about what I do, so I'm going to try to break it down. I always say that I'm the person who people call, the builders call, when they want sales to be the engine that drives the train instead of running it off the tracks. So that means I'm an immersion consultant. I get in there, I work with your systems. I look at efficiencies and make sure that we're not just selling homes, but we're selling homes profitably in a way that is sustainable for the company to grow. So, and I see lots of people saying hi in the chat. So thank you very much. Please keep that chat going. That way we don't all feel alone sitting here in our little holiday bliss that we have going on. If you want to reach me, here is my contact information. And then without further ado, Heidi, will you do the honors and jump in here and give us a little bit about our sponsor today with ECI Lasso?
I would love to. Thanks for having me on today. I'm Heidi Schroeder, and I'm the senior consultant for Lasso. And ECI Lasso, we're the #1 CRM for home builders. If you didn't know that already, I'm sure that most of you are Lasso users, or most of you at least know about Lasso. And every year at the end of the year, we start looking toward the coming year and ask all of our industry partners. Man, we have some really great partnerships throughout the industry with people that really know what they're doing. And we ask them for a little quote of what they think the next year is going toward. So that's what this is. And like Kimberly said, she'll send you a link to that at the end of this. But I really appreciate you hosting this and allowing Lasso to be a part of this so we can help everyone get all of that information.
We look forward every year to being asked and being part of it, and also just reading what everybody else is projecting out there. It's always a lot of fun. So look at this rockstar panel. I mean, this is awesome. So Carol, you wanna do the honors here? just quickly run through our panel?
Absolutely. And I think that almost everyone here knows all these folks, but we have Erica Lockwood here with us today. I'm trying to remember where she hails from. It's out what I would consider west of me
Houston.
somewhere.
Houston.
Yes,
She's
Houston.
from Texas now.
And very excited to have her with us today. And I'm sitting here looking for my cheat sheet, Kimberly. Oh, I know what it is. So Erica's with Joseph Cris Partners. So call them for all of your recruiting needs. We have Leah Fellows with Blue Gypsy. She's the chief gypsy in charge, and they do online sales consulting training. So if you need help training your online sales consultant, that is who you'd call. Anya Chrisanthon, well, she is going to be telling us today what her new gig is, which I'm excited about. So I'll save that and let her tell us later. But she has been doing lots of marketing and technology and likes to work on the technology side of the business to help people have all of that up to speed. Then, of course, we have Roland Nairnsey, and Roland's company is New Home Sales Plus. So if you need sales consulting, that is who you call. Of course, Heidi has already talked a little bit to y'all. Heidi Schroeder with ECI Solutions, aka Lasso. So happy to have her today. And then, of course, last but never least, we have Outhouse in the house, Kevin Weitzel. So if you need fantastic 3D renderings, all that cool digital stuff that makes your website look good. I'm glossing it over, Kevin. You can dive into it more when you introduce yourself later, but Kevin can help you with all of that. So really fun group. Glad that you're all six with us today.
So, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen so you can see all of us. Yay, all at one time. Yeah.
Hello.
So questions in the chat, keep those going. Chime in, please, as we go. And then don't forget, prizes at the end. So you got to stay tuned, and we will do those as we get toward the top of the hour. So without further ado, Erica, we're going to kick off with you. And Erica is my go-to person whenever I'm working with a builder who needs a search run and needs executives and managers, and so she is going to be talking to us today a little bit about how our words matter in ways. Carol's dragon may matter too, in ways that we may not have thought about before. So I'm going to kick that off to you, Erica. Go for it.
All right. Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be here with such a very fun group. I'll say that.
Fun,
no, it's
okay.
incredibly fun, crazy, wild. So, this year, when I was asked by Lasso to put my content together and share for the tips, which I'm always honored. I really didn't have to think all that long about what I wanted to say, and it really is about the power of words. Words matter. And there's just been so much going on in the world, here in the US and everywhere. And that just makes me take a pause and think, what are some of the things that I'm saying or maybe not saying that might really hurt someone? You don't even know, right? And so we were talking earlier about just, we grow up with terms, quotes, things that our parents said and their grandparents probably said them, right? And kids especially, and sometimes even us as adults, we don't know what those really mean. And they could really hurt someone and make it, that person or that group of people, feel like there's, just a lack of respect for maybe their particular culture. And so you specifically even be like, oh, you're crazy, or, oh, I've got ADD. Those are real things, right? Mental health is always something that's being talked about more and more since COVID, right? And you don't know, it's not like someone wears a badge and says, I have ADD or PTSD. Sometimes people will just joke, and it can really be hurtful to someone that is dealing with that. And it's just examples like that is just to be more thoughtful and do some like self-awareness, and also look into even online, Google it, and you'll see there's just so many things I didn't know. And, you know, I thought, gosh, I say that. And, you know, even we kind of joke about the peanut gallery, right? And the peanut gallery has a meaning to it. It was probably created more like in the 1920s. And it was the people who had to sit in the back of the movie theater. So perhaps a person of color might know that origin and be offended by it. They may not, but you know, it's just things like that. It's eye-opening. So that's what I wanted to share.
It really is, and people may not even think about at all. They don't mean, it's not meant as ill intent. It's simply not being aware, as you said, just not taking the time to do that research or think about where did that phrase come from. You know, what is that? What's the origin of that?
Yeah, just saying something that could be hurtful without really even meaning it still could hurt.
And
Absolutely.
it can be is taking somebody through the home and saying this is a master bedroom instead of the owner's bedroom. So there's
primary
a lot
suite.
of terms.
Yeah.
Does anybody know where that phrase master bedroom came from? Because I learned this recently.
You know, it's interesting. I've heard it, but I don't remember. So go for it, Roland. Share.
It was the Sears catalog in 1927. Really? So yeah, they actually came out with it as a term, and it was very popular. No one ever thought back then about it being, you know, a hurtful phrase. Of course, I first stopped using that. I think in the 90s we changed it to owner's retreat or owner's suite, but it originated harmlessly from the Sears catalog. It's just a sort of a way of creating an aura about a space that would be interesting and exciting, and you know, so there we go. So now we don't use it, but yeah.
I completely
bearing that.
Great comment in the chat. I'm sorry. I'll let you go
the
next,
origin
Kevin,
of words is fascinating.
Yeah. Ben says he's been a copywriter for 20 years across almost every industry at one point or another. The one rule that applies for him is if he wouldn't say it to his grandma, it's not appropriate for a marketing communications piece. Nice. Probably not appropriate to say either. And I completely agree with that. I call it the cringe factor when I'm reading something that we've written. I get to that word that makes me go, either because I think it's, not the right word, or I think it's probably not appropriate. I always try to rewrite that. So, okay, Kevin, sorry.
I'm always amazed how you can say with all due respect and then say something mean afterwards. With all due respect, you suck. And I don't know what, but I say with all due respect. So come on.
Well, it's like a Southern thing. When you hear us say,
it's like a language hall pass, right? You
bless your heart, right?
Bless your heart. That's the other one.
Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. And now you
not
can
what
just
that means.
I love it. I love these little.
Because of the new legislation in California and Washington that just passed, we had to send out an email to all of our interactive floor plan clients in those states to let them know that if they have the term master bedroom, master bath, that they're not even allowed to have that on their digital or printed material anymore. And we will get that changed for them for free. We just have to have them notify us if that's what they have. So
wow,
that's interesting. I didn't know that it had gone that far. Yeah. We try to remove it from everything. I got some ADA descriptions that somebody asked me to review the other day, and it said master, master, master. And I emailed them back and I'm like, all right, first of all, you got to lose the word master. And second of all, especially when you're talking ADA, you can't say see or envision or, because they can't see or envision. So that's kind of interesting. Kelly asked in the chat, which state? So is it California and Washington?
California and Washington, yes.
Okay, California and Washington.
It is.
But a good practice across the board, regardless.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it doesn't have to be a state law.
California is going to be happening everywhere else.
Very true.
Yeah. Terry Smith says we see owner's suite, see others using primary. What's the consensus? I don't know that there is one. I see both. Anyone think there's a major sway one way or the other on those two words?
No, I see owner's suite probably more often.
That's what I see.
Yeah.
Or retreat.
Or retreat.
I like retreat.
Owner's retreat.
Yes.
On boats, we always called it an owner's cabin. So
you were ahead of your time.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to dive into a question for Kimberly. So, golly, I know your Lasso little piece was about having the right person in the appropriate position. Of course, right now, sometimes I think it's having a qualified person in that position, or anyone,
or a body,
position.
Right?
Let's find some warm bodies, which of course is something that Erica can help us with. But talk a little bit about that. Hiring practices and finding the right person for the right job.
I would be happy to. And it's ironic that I was the one who wrote this. I kind of would have expected this to come from Erica, but we have to start thinking differently as an industry and stop the madness of thinking that we only hire people from our industry with experience from our industry, because we're growing at a pace in the past couple of years, especially, where we can't just do that. And I've always said it was a bad practice, because if you take people who have not succeeded elsewhere and somehow think that you're going to plant them in your company and that's going to be the magic bullet, does that really make a lot of sense? So I think we have to broaden our scope. I think we need to broaden our definition of what we are looking for. And as an industry, I think we also have to really think about, does our company represent the population that we serve? Because people want to relate to us, and we know that home buying is a relationship business. So if we are, as a company and as sales and even OSCs, if we're not seeing people who look like us and talk like us, and it may be more difficult to, and if they, I certainly don't want that guy.
So what if he looks like this? Well, you're kind of back to that DEI conversation that we had last month, and that
I am
touched on. Yeah, I mean, it's so important.
Yeah. So look, how can you be more diverse? How can you expand the way you think? Think about the different gifts that everybody can bring to your company, because everybody comes from a different path. They have a different experience. And because they've had that different experience, they're looking at things through a different lens. I think that lens is very helpful for us as we design. I mean, it goes all the way through, as we design product, as we market, as we sell, as we build. We have to be considerate of what that experience has been for our buyers. And if we are going to expect to build our business based off of referrals, which we all love, that becomes even more integral. So I would say, if that isn't part of your 2022 planning discussion, make it part of it. Ask the question, what can we do? Are we, as we look around our table here, are we as diverse as we think we should be? And if not, what can we do? And how can we, if we can't find talent, then what can we do to train that talent? Where can we find people who maybe have the attitude that's right? Because attitude is something you can't train, but train them on the skills, instead of going, hey, let me just try to keep pulling from my competitors, because that is not going to work, and it's just not healthy. So for our industry. So I would encourage you to consider that in your planning, not only for 2022, but beyond.
Yeah.
I love that, Kimberly, because when I help builders hire online sales counselors, some of the best online sales counselors I've helped them hire have been completely outside the industry.
Right.
And they bring a different energy and a different, and there's certain skill sets you're looking for that you don't just, I mean, I'm not saying that people inside the industry don't work in that role. They certainly do, but sometimes you have to go outside the box to find that right person. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Can I just jump in too and agree entirely that every builder I work with on a regular basis, what we work on is building a bench, and it's so much easier to get people that are in some kind of sales. Typically, they have that in common, that they've got sales DNA. To quote JP, I think the sales DNA, but right. they have that. They could be early 20s right out of college. They could be in other industries, but having had some sales ability and then transferring in as an associate in training, it's much easier to find that person and train them than to find that fully fledged salesperson that will follow the right process. So, I mean, obviously it's not a mutually exclusive thing. There are great salespeople out there that we can find, but it's hard to do that. There aren't that many, where it's much easier to find potential. Just people have the right attitude and passion for sales and train them. So I'm a big believer in finding people and building a bench. I think you've got Smart Dwellings on the phone on the call. They said hello to you. Nathaniel was waving at us, and he's done that with his sales team. I think one lady was selling ads, I think, for a media, and his new manager was around. And they're both doing great. They've both adapted and adopted really quickly, and are off and running. So yeah, that's a great concept.
There are other industries that are almost as crazy as we are, insane as we are. Erica, I'm not supposed to use that word. See, now you see how that just comes full
I'm
circle.
offended by insane, so you can't use that one either.
We work a lot of hours and we do things very differently than other industries, and we can be very difficult for others to understand. So I get the comfort of wanting to hire from within, because that can be hard for people coming from other industries to get. But and then Nathaniel did also note in the chat, if you can't find somebody local, then look at remote work. And can you utilize people? And I know he's got a couple of positions that he does that with, and it's working out quite well for him. So good point, Nathaniel. Thank you very much for making that. So we're going to keep, in the interest of time, I know we could do deep dives on all of these, but Leah, talk to us, and I think you're the perfect person to do this. Talk to us about how we can bring more humanity into what we do every day.
Wow.
Yeah, I really, it's been a really tough, pell-mell, crazy paced year and 2 years now for the building industry. And at times we lost track of the actual customer and what their needs are, because we've filled all those slots. We've got lotteries going on. We have sold more houses than we can even possibly build this year. And so we see that sometimes when more people are trying to talk to us, we're like, talk to the hand. I don't have anything to sell you. And we really need to get back into that nurturing, that assistance, understanding, helping people understand what's going on. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, if you don't know what's going on in the building industry, you've been living under a rock, this is what's happening. But we need to pretend that everyone we talk to, it's their first time hearing about this. So in that online sales realm, or I've even heard stories of people walking into sales offices and the sales agent saying, I have nothing to sell, get out. So, we've got to be careful about like that. Yes. And create more engagement with people and long-term nurturing and understanding that this market doesn't last forever like this. And if we make people angry now, that's going to reflect poorly on us in the future. And that's going to show up in our reviews, right, Carol? Your digital reviews we sometimes fight with our clients and things like that, because people aren't being cared for and cared about. And while there's wonderful digital nurturing we can do and great tools and great, from our CRM all the way to our chatbots to ways that we can help engage the people who don't want to talk to us as salespeople, that's fine. But we need to bring that compassion and that empathy back into what we're doing and really relearn in some respects how to nurture leads, because, and not just call them leads. We tend to do that on an industry side, but we need to talk about them as people, right? I don't know if I'm jingling a lot or if you can hear the bells ringing.
A little bit.
I can.
We're in our head.
But I just think that was my biggest takeaway. Last year, I said in Lasso, we need to meet people where they are and give them the experience they want. And I think this year is a continuation of that, because especially with so many new salespeople and so many new online salespeople in the industry, not understanding what it was like when it took a lot more time, energy, and effort and relationship building to set an appointment. And we have to go back to that relationship building and not just be trying, oh, sure, you want an appointment, and not know a darn thing about them. So
I would expand on that all the way through. I think you have to have a sales process. Melanie said you got to have a plan. Yes, you have to have a plan, and your team needs to know what that plan is, and they need to know how to do those handoffs all the way through so that everybody is singing from the same proverbial sheet of music, So we have to provide that great experience.
And that's one of the reasons why I always say online sales is the crossroads between marketing and sales, because a good online sales program has to have 1 foot in marketing and 1 foot in sales. And we have to have cohesive communication and messaging all across the board in the way that we communicate with people. So, what online sales is saying is a continuation of marketing, and by giving marketing the cues of what they're getting is so important, and then passing that along to sales so we can start where the OSC is left off and not start from scratch, right? So all of that, having that process is really important.
Well, and we discovered how important having that process was or is when we did our survey this year.
True.
So if you all haven't seen those survey results, then maybe I can get Kimberly to send those out to you too, because we are all still failing as an industry. And in fact, worse this year than last year. And maybe that's because we have nothing to sell.
Well, and that's part of where my
says that.
From. I feel like online sales counselors in general, their communication fell off this year because of that survey that Carol and Ben Marks and I do every year. It fell off. And I think it's because they felt like, well, we got nothing to sell. Why should we communicate? But you still need to communicate. You still need to give people a wonderful customer experience, even if you can't sell them a house, because that's going to matter later.
I always think I'm not going to be shocked every time you guys put that survey out, and then I read it and I'm like, really? Come on. We can
Come
do
on.
better. Exactly.
Well, let's move on to Roland, who thinks the future is so bright that we've got to wear shades in 2022. So his advice for the new year includes Ted Lasso. So because he was tying it in with Lasso. So
I misheard it. I thought that's what they wanted was Ted Lasso.
Well, there you go. Well, tell us a little bit about that. I'm fascinated.
There we go. First, well, thank you so much, and thank you for this esteemed panel putting this together. It's wonderful to be with such wonderful experts in the industry. So thank you for that. I'm honored to be a part of it. Yeah. So when I got the invitation to write for Lasso, I immediately thought Ted Lasso, because it's on our sort of consciousness right now. So a show of hands, who's actually watched Ted Lasso? Okay, good. And then maybe on the chat, you guys could sort of chime in. Let's see to let us know that you've seen it. You don't actually have to have seen it to understand this next 5 minutes that I'm going to chat about. But I just thought it was a great example of he is a character played by Jason Sudeikis. It's on Apple TV, and I know I fought that I didn't want to spend my $5 a month for a while, but I finally gave in. But everyone kept raving about it, and now I can't wait for the next. There we go. It's lighting up. People are watching it. But anyway, he does represent so many great values and virtues. I did actually, one of the things I wanted to say about him was kindness. So I'm really glad that Leah had mentioned that, and I definitely love that. Anybody that watches that show knows it. Really, the sort of meta message is about being kind to each other. And we all need that, and any industry does, but especially home building. As you said, we've been through some crazy times, so that's one of the things that in there. So basically, I try to make 3 points about what Ted Lasso talks about. It's a crazy story. He's an American football coach that gets picked up to coach an English football team. He knows nothing about it. Turns out he does really, really well. So the 3 things he preaches: one is you have to believe. Here it is. There's his sign. So we have to believe in what we're doing. We have to believe in our builder. So a show of hands, who feels as though you have the best builder out there, the best companies to work with? Yeah. So we have to be passionate. There we go. I have never yet met a successful salesperson that didn't have passion. It's just so important. So when you go out and demonstrate, you've got to say, I can't wait to share with you. I can't wait to show you what we're doing next, and those kinds of things. So believing and being passionate go hand in hand. And then thinking, he talks about thinking and being positive. So, you have to think it first. You have to actually believe what you're doing. So the power of thought, you can't fake it. And then it's all about actions. It's the actions that you take. And shockingly, I did some research. I say shockingly because I think research shows that 98% of research is made up or something. But anyway, so I've got it here. Here we go. Tony Schwartz, a real person, I believe, president of the Energy Project. That sounds a little dubious, but I did find him online. States that optimistic salespeople outsell their pessimistic counterparts by 56%. So there we go.
I believe it.
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I've been reading a lot about kindness and happiness, and people are studying this kind of stuff. And it really does count. So whether you're recruiting somebody, talking the OSC world or whatever, you want to present that optimistic picture, that passionate picture. In the article, I also wrote about this with Keller Williams, who is really a great training company that happens to sell real estate. And that they have this great phrase that whenever they they lose a sale, they when a salesperson loses it, they talk about a 1 second funeral. In other words, that you gotta mourn it for a second and get over it. So I think one of the things that I, as a sales trainer, sales coach, one of the things that marks great salespeople is this sales resilience. You know, you can't control the externals. Life is life. You know, things are happening. Leah talked about it, you know, with the crazy couple of years, whether, you know, it was coming through COVID, and then we had a sort of mini boom going on that was unexpected. And then prices got away from us with supply chain issues. And then we've been dealing with price escalation, or I call them price caps, but still the same thing, or just shutdowns for a temp. So all this stress that's going on. So you've got to be resilient. You know, you really have to you've got to have some strength there, but you've got to think positively and understand that this too shall pass. It's just a temporary thing. And, you know, some of us have been in this market for decades, quite literally, even though we all look very young.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, there we go.
We started when we were 5.
Refusing to age, but these are cycles that we go through. And if I had to pick a cycle to go through, this ain't the worst one ever. You know, it's been really bad, but there's been light at the end of the tunnel, right? Which is that the market is really, really robust. You know, interest rates are crazy low. You know, I mean, I'm getting a little off track here, but if we were talking about the some of the recessions, the one with the end of the 80s or the early 80s, interest rates were 17%, 17%. So when you talk about, you know, a 3% interest rate and that kind of stuff, it's just a gift. It's really the banks having a sell of money. So to get back to that, think positive and be positive. And then the last part of the article that I wrote was in Ted Lasso. Spoiler alert, and I'm sorry for this, but he delivers this little cookie every morning to his boss. He shows up in a little pink box, and he delivers this little cookie that he makes. Fun fact, apparently that cookie was disgusting, and they were faking it was nice. They had to change the recipe, but I really like Ted Lasso. But anyway, the thing that I find so charming, first of all, he made that. It turns out he cooked it every night. But it's about creating a memorable experience. So I think as it relates to us, there's so much mundane stuff going on. There's so much, they could be so easy to be boring and keep things transactional. And I think this market especially is crying out for connection and kindness and being memorable and making an extra effort for your clients and showing them that you really care. And lastly, before I hand over the baton here, there's a builder I work with in Louisiana called Alvarez, and every one of their salespeople every week goes out to every single home under construction, and they make a little movie on their phone, and then they email that to their client. They get back and they say, yeah, it's amazing. I've watched a bunch of them because we had a little competition to see who did the best. And they're usually 30 seconds or something, but they're creating a memorable experience. They're dealing with the supply chain issues because buyers are getting really frantic and upset about waiting. So it's a great way to be proactive. But I just thought it was like Ted Lasso and his little cookie in a pink box there, that they're doing something nice and special and reaching out. All right. So
and when you look for good stuff like Alvarez, and they're going out and they're looking for the good stuff, they can accentuate the positive, which will just make that experience so much better. Absolutely.
Well, the buyers are getting used to their Wednesday afternoon email. If they don't get it by Wednesday evening, they're like, what's going on? Why haven't I heard from you? As opposed to being mad about the fact that, you know, it's been a 2-month delay. They're more bothered about, you know, that consistency of communication, which is wonderful.
And you mentioned the word fun. I like to quote my favorite author, Dr. Seuss. It's fun to have fun, but you have to know how.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I think that's true. I mean, you know, life's too short to be bored with your job or hate what you're doing or not have fun with it. So
exactly. Yeah, you got to find the fun in there. Otherwise, we would all go crazy. By the way, I think it's inappropriate to have a dragon because I'm allergic to Game of Thrones. So
no. I love my little dragon. This dragon's awesome. This dragon is one of our giveaways.
Is there anything bad about dragons that we can say?
I hope not. I hope there's nothing bad about llama socks either.
I don't think
use
so.
The word dragon? Should we say large reptile? Are we allowed to say dragon?
Reptile with evil eyes.
Yes.
When they're mythical creatures, I think they're still on board. So
and whoever gets this one's going to get a bonus. It's like that sticky rubber, and I keep picking dog hair off of it because there are 2 large dogs that visit me in the office often.
Oh, shoot.
And somebody is raising their hand or saying hi. I'm not sure which. So let's move on to Heidi as we go. And Heidi, you are preaching to the choir here, but I love it. I'm going to be singing your praises for this one. The customer is your customer for life. So talk
Amen.
to us about how we make them that way and how we keep them engaged with us.
Absolutely. And it really goes along with what Leah and Roland just said. You know, something that Leah said made me light up just a little bit, because it's something that I always say, is that a lead isn't a lead. A lead is a person. And a lead is an actual person. And, you know, we're kind of moving into this era of heart. You know, we've had a couple of years where we've learned to grow with our families and create better relationships. And our customers are expecting those relationships too. Just like what Roland said, you know, they're expecting a higher level of more personalized service. So once they sign on that dotted line, you know, I know a lot of builders, I work with a lot of builders in Lasso, and I see what they're doing in Lasso. And I know there are a lot of builders that are just pushing for that sale. But then after the sale, what happens? Are they still engaged with the buyer after the sale? Is there somebody on the other end that's helping them from that sale to close? And then from that close to infinity, right? So from that close until asking for referrals, still creating those relationships. You know, I was going to see if I could find from our friends at Zonda what the average amount of time a person stays in a home. I've heard it's 7 years. I've heard it's 5 years. I don't know exactly what's true, but I know that people don't stay in their homes forever like they used to, especially the types of homes that most of the builders that we work with are building, right? I personally, I built a custom home 3 years ago, and already, you know, we built it from scratch, but already we're thinking about our next home and in what we're going to do next. So I know that I'm not alone in that type of situation, but following up with our prospects after the sale, after close, making sure that we still love them and they still love us, so they can show that to others. I don't know about you guys, but anything I buy, I ask my bubble, my community, for advice on. If I'm buying furniture from Wayfair, if I'm buying a car, I'm asking for advice from people that I know that have had good experiences. I think a home amplifies that because of the investment involved. That the first thing that I would do when buying a home is I'm going to ask my friends where they bought theirs and why they bought theirs, and if they had a good experience. For builders, for custom builders, or for on your lot builders, I think that's especially important because of the process involved with that. But they're using those referrals are very important. So first we have to ask for them. So if we're not following up with our customers, we don't have the opportunity to ask for a referral, right? We don't have the opportunity to ask for a Google review, anything like that. So moving those forward, I've seen a lot of builders using the CRM to move those forward past sale. And that I think that in 2022, we're going to see a lot more of that. And I love that. I would love to see in Lasso and in the CRM those moving past just the sale, and builders identifying the person that's going to handle that. You know, obviously your OSC might not be the right person to handle that post-close process. So whether it's your salesperson or if it's, I've seen a dedicated post-sale concierge, you know, someone that's dedicated for that to connect with the customers, connect with the buyers, your homeowners, make sure that warranty issues are taken care of in a timely manner, or taken care of at all, right?
Right.
So making sure those warranty issues are taken care of. So that's what I see for 2022. Let's move past the sale and love those customers.
I like that. The CRM, of course, is your customer resource manager, right? So use it to manage customers all the way, and they're still your customers. They are your buyers for life. I love that.
I love the,
Yeah.
sorry, you weren't done yet.
Oh,
So who's going?
I was
I'm
going to
done.
say, I just love that idea of someone who engages the customer at the end of the experience, the warranty side, the kind of not just reacting to their warranty issues, but being proactive before that ever happens. And like you said, it can't be an online sales counselor, but it has to be very much like that person, and create and continue that relationship on, and be able to ask for those referrals and those reviews and things like that. So I think that's fantastic, Heidi.
And of course, I'm going to put a technology spin on this. So now with all of the new home tech that we're coming out with, such as sensors inside your home, they can tell you that your roof is about to start leaking, that your refrigerator is about to break, that your water heater is about to go. You already earned the relationship with the customer. So why not maximize that for a long term, and you be the person who's going to service that customer from the beginning to the end, and think about increasing that customer value throughout that process. And now a lot of builders are starting to even sell furniture with companies like Monsey, where you can create that shoppable experience with the model home so the customer can purchase all of the furniture. So it's beyond the warranty, it's beyond all those things. So we always think like, oh no, the warranty, the negative things, but turn that into positive, it's more profits for you, the builder.
Yeah,
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah. I just want to concur that I was on a call just before this one with the sales team, and we talked about earning referrals, and that each client, think of it as a downline where you should get at least 3 referral names. You might not sell to each one of those, but get at least 3 names of friends or relatives, and out of those 3, one of those should yield great results. Because all the common sense in the world, all the research does show that doing business with people you're already doing business with is much easier than having to reach out and find new people. So if there's a plan for the salesperson to reach out at the peak times and stay in touch with the client, we talk about celebrating the home's birthday every year, like an home anniversary or whatever, and sending out a card as a unique time. Hey, your home just turned 3 or something, but just something as a reminder to stay in touch, and then set a goal of what a measurable referral rate should be. Are you at 30% referrals yet? And if not, how do you grow your business that way? So everything you talked about, I'm completely agree as usual.
Yeah, and it's the cheapest form of marketing.
Yes,
the return with the return on the investment, it's the cheapest marketing.
Yeah, highest return on investment.
Right.
Yeah, and I've never met anybody that gave you a referral because of the gift. If you gave them a gift, if you're allowed to, it's because they loved you enough and want their friends to have that same experience. So we sometimes really worry about, oh, should I do this? Should I send them on a cruise? Whatever, make sure it's the same for both parties if you're allowed to legally give gifts or referrals. But really, it's more about it's the right thing to do, and they want their friends to, have the same good experience. So it's a powerful thing.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Kevin.
Oh, I thought we got the big news.
Gosh,
Anya, we're
Kevin.
on the edge of our seats. Okay.
No, not yet, Kevin. We can't.
All right.
I can't afford virtual reality. It's just so expensive. What am I going to do? I'm a poor little dragon with no budget. What do you say to that?
I hear budget a lot. Obviously being in sales my entire life in one industry or another, you hear objections. And budget is one of the weakest objections ever. Now, granted, there are some companies that are struggling. They're worried about paying their bills. I get that. But if you are a typical production builder and you have a series of model homes in a community, you can walk into the boss's office with a pair of big brass pens, and you can say to your boss, what's the carry cost on just one model home? Hey, there's another big deal pen. What's the carry cost on a home, on a model home? I guarantee you they know to the penny what it costs them every month to have and sit on that model home. So if you have multiple model homes, statistics will prove that you can take half of the price of a single model home and do virtual reality tours for every series or every home in that series that you're selling in the neighborhood, photoreal 3D renderings from company. And I'm not talking about the cheap offshore junk that comes out of India. I'm talking about quality stuff from like Focus 360 and Rendering House and of course Outhouse, quality products. And interactive floor plans for every single plan that you have, and high quality photography for every model you have, or even interior renderings for each home you have. You can do every bit of that for less than the cost of half of a single model home, carrying it for just 1 year. So when somebody tells me that the brass just turned down the budget, go in and ask and demand for that budget, because you're going to make them money. You're going to sell their homes faster. When you have a virtual experience, when you're selling to somebody that's relocating out of California, and we know they're doing it, then they want to see that home. They're not going to travel to Tupelo, Mississippi to walk through a house. They're not going to do it. But they might get online and see that, wow, Elvis is from Tupelo. Maybe this house might be nice. Let me do a virtual tour. Oh, wow, this company has virtual tours. It honestly is getting to the point where your consumers expect it. It's not just a question of, well, D.R. Horton does it or Lennar does it, I need to do it now. It has nothing to do with that. Don't quit worrying about what the big builders are doing. They have completely different budgets than you have. They can buy you and bury your project under the earth in a matter of 2 seconds. So don't worry about what they're doing. Worry about what you're doing. Talk to your boss, walk in their office, get that budget, eliminate one model home. Now, this advice does not work for on-your-lot builders. This advice does not work for custom builders. This advice does not work for companies that can only afford, or fiscally can only afford, to put one model home in the community. There are more creative ways to find some hidden dollars. Number one, reach out to your vendor and ask them if they have any kind of volume. Now, granted, if you're a smaller builder, you might not be able to qualify for the volume, but then you can also twist it and ask for bundles. I know that when people work with us and we draft their plans, we give them free interactive floor plans. Free, literally free. Right off the top of the budget, it's gone. Now, that's only benefits people that do that, but that draft with us. But that doesn't mean that you can't go to, an Alpha Vision and say, hey, we're interested in renderings, but we really can't afford interactives. Do you have any kind of bundle program where you could do that? So all these companies have some sort of concession where they want to make your life easier. If you're just shopping price, stop doing that. Price, just like your home, not all dirt is created equal. Not every square footage is equal. Not all products are equal. So definitely increase your budget by just getting creative with working with your vendors, and 2, getting rid of that third or even sometimes second model home. You don't need it. Statistics will prove that I'm right, and that your boss who thinks that you need to have 20 models in a community is wrong.
Great advice.
I would take it even a step further, and I would say you can sell houses without physical model home if you have the virtual. So I was just at the Housing Transformation Summit, and Shea Homes is selling $3.2 million homes. No model home, sold out community.
Well,
so it's definitely doable.
Look at condos. They've been selling homes for years with no model homes. So it's definitely possible.
And I think it does work for on your lot and custom too, because they're not going to see in a model home for an on your lot or custom anyway. They're not going to see any home. I think that, I came from that on your lot world, and I definitely think that the builder that I worked for didn't have a model home in every location, and the ones that they did were really old. Right. So I think it works just fine for on your lot and custom.
Yeah, I think it's even more important.
I do too. I think it's even more important.
Yeah, talking about where do you find the budget if you're not already building homes?
Yeah, the on your land guys.
Very important.
And one last tidbit, Kimberly, when you're looking at an on your lot builder, and Heidi, thank you for bringing that up. An on your lot builder might have 30, 50, 100 plans in the library. They're only selling 10 of them. Right. So if your excuse is I can't do virtual tours on all these, do the virtual tour on your top 10 plans. You know what they are. You look at your P&L, you can see which ones are selling. Yeah. Get them done. There's no excuse. Your customers expect it.
They want it. They want it. OSC see it all the time where people are looking and asking them and trying to find those virtual tours. And don't bury your virtual tours. Do not bury them under 5 clicks, to get there. Sorry.
Absolutely.
And think about creating a virtual copy of your existing physical model, and maybe just going with one physical model. That way your customers view that VR online, they come into your model home and they say, oh my goodness, this matches my expectations. What I saw online is exactly what I see here. So then now you can do virtual versions of your other model homes, because now they trust you that it's going to represent the actual physical home. So eliminate the physical and go with the virtual all the way.
Carol, I think we have our first topic for next year's Sales and Marketing Power Hour.
Yeah. Virtual models versus,
Yeah.
$500,000 models. Let's
Good
go.
topic.
We'll
So,
talk about it.
Calendar, Kim.
And in the interest of our time here today, I want to move on very quickly to Carol. And this is really appropriate because denim marketing is about style, right?
Absolutely.
And not all denim is the same, right? We
Not
all
all
wear
denim's the
differently.
same.
So let's go.
Not all denim's the same, just like not all buyers are the same. And what I mean by that is, some of us like straight leg jeans or skinny jeans or slim jeans or flared or baggy or whatever, same is true for our buyers. They all have different personal styles and they all have different personal communication styles. So, I think the one thing we just see over and over again, it hit home with our survey we did earlier this year is, communicating with buyers the way they want to be communicated with. First of all, you have to ask. It's not just generational. You might have a, 50, 60, 70-year-old buyer who'd rather text. Of course, that same buyer might want a phone call instead. And I guess the number one thing that came out of our survey that we were the most floored about is the number of potential buyers who supplied phone numbers that weren't called back. So, just something to keep in mind. Maybe ask on your online forums, how do they prefer to be communicated with so that you are speaking to them the way they want to be spoken to. And then, taking that one step further, buyers want to find you online where they want to find you. And I know a lot of people cringe over that, but I get asked all the time by builders, do I have to be on social media? Yes, I still get asked this question. Do I need to be on Facebook? I hate Facebook. Can I get off of Facebook? No, sorry, you can't get off Facebook. It is the million-pound gorilla. It's got more traffic and more people on it than all the other sites combined, but it's important to be where they are and to be where they are to answer their questions when they have them. It's something that Leah Parrish, who produces the National, coined the Netflix effect. So because of the Netflix effect, I created a whole marketing presentation around this. I actually really love this. So if Lisa's listening, yes, thank you for your idea. I stole it. The Netflix effect is just the idea that I can get it when I want it. I can go log on to Netflix or Hulu or Vudu or Apple, and I can watch what I want to watch now 24/7 all the time. Same is true for Uber Eats and Amazon and all these things that have taken off. It's all about that we want it now. They want the same thing when they're shopping homes. They want the information they want now, which plays into almost everything that everyone has said today. It plays into, I want to tour that home now. Well, they can't tour it if you don't have a video of it or a 3D rendering of it or a 3D tour of it or whatever, right? So providing them what they want, where they want it now, which means it needs to be on your social and it needs to be on your website and it needs to be wherever they are. And that's really what I talked about on my Lasso one, but I had to tie it into jeans. So y'all have to go read it and comment it and get back to me on it. But it was fun to write.
I've learned more about jeans since
I have my skinny jeans on today.
I kept my flared jeans, Carol. Are they ever going to come back?
They are in style. Well, that's the other thing.
I haven't let them go yet. I got a couple of
everything's in style right now as it relates to jeans. Actually, there's articles out there. If you Google what jeans are in style, the answer is there's more jeans in style and more choices now than there ever have been, ever. And it's because everybody wants what they want. It was very interesting. There's several articles on it. So
very good.
Whatever you want to wear is good, Roland.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I don't want to remind everybody we have prizes coming.
We do have prizes.
So don't leave now.
Stick with
the prize
us.
Was just being here with us. That's not the prize.
Well,
the gift in itself.
We're going to give them, surprises for being here. But last and certainly not least, I want to talk a little bit to Anya. So Anya, tell us the best way to serve your customers. And somewhere in this answer, you also have to give us your big news.
Big reveal.
Yes. Well, I guess I'll start with the big news since I know everyone's been asking me and waiting for it. So I'm very, very excited to announce that I am joining a new go. And John Lee, you may know him from Rendering House. So we've decided to join forces. And really what I'm going to be doing is being the face to our consumers, representing the home building industry. I'm going to try to be the Martha Stewart of new home sales. We're going to bring the Got Milk campaign to our consumers so that they never have to question, why would I want to buy a new home? So I need all of your help. I need all the builders out there to send me all the wonderful work you're doing, all the cool projects, all the new innovations in the new home industry so that I can showcase it. And we really, really got to show them why new is the right way to go. So,
cool.
So with that, Thank you. Thank you. So with that, I'm going to jump into my topic. So I talked about how far the home building industry has come during COVID. I really was impressed that a lot of home builders have embraced the technology, by choice and not by choice, forced into it. But we have implemented a lot of technology that Kevin has talked about, and really giving our customers what they want. But one of the things that we continue to do, as Kevin also mentioned, is we continue to measure ourselves against our own peers. We look at what's D.R. Horton's doing, what's NVR is doing, what's this guy doing? Oh, they're not doing the buy now yet, so I'm going to wait. And so as an industry, we have been a conservative industry to implement new technology to begin with. So I just want you to be careful there, because technology in the next 5 years is going to explode, because we're growing at an exponential rate. So the next 5 years will be nothing like the last 5 years have been. So if you're going to wait on that edge to say, I'm going to see until it's perfect, you're going to fall so far behind that it's going to be impossible for you to catch up. So I want you to really reach outside of our own industry when it comes to examples of serving our customers through technology, because remember, at the end of the day, it wasn't the taxi company that disrupted the taxi business. It was a technology company, Uber. Same thing with the hotel industry. It wasn't the hotel chain that disrupted that industry. It was Airbnb. So it's likely going to be a force outside of our own that will come for new home sales. And I want you to really look at examples of how can we serve customers? What are other industries doing right now, whether it's chatbots, whether it's AR, VR, how can I implement that into my own business to really give my customers what we want? And I know I want to keep us on track, but things like showing our customers price before they buy a house.
Transparency, yeah.
Transparency, like think about how you shop, right? And I think we're still, as an industry, holding on to that manipulation techniques in a way that, like, we don't want to show them the price because we're going to scare them off, right? Like, what other industry does that? So my urge to you there is to please be considerate of your customers. Give them the experience that you'd want to experience. When you're going to buy something, you want to know what the price is. So starting with that, and of course, there's a lot of different areas for incorporating technology to help our customers, from visualization to really helping them making that decision and making it easier. So that's my
Thank you. So that's so well said. So thank you all very much. And we're gonna, because we're getting close to the top of the hour here, Carol. Thank you all for joining us today. I will get the recording out to everyone and to our wonderful panelists. So
thank you,
will have
guys.
all of their contact
Thank you so much.
information.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Everybody, for your
Christmas,
input.
yeah.
Bye.